After being in a bit of a spot, a partnership of 138 between Ishan Kishan and Hardik Pandya helping India reach 266. What if this partnership hadn't happened? There's another partnership in the studio as well. There wouldn't be the show without this partnership. Dinesh, Karthik and Harsha Bhogle joined me to talk about what happened, all that happened in this India innings. I'll go to DK first. 266. Would you take it? Or
I would take it considering where India was after the fourth wicket that fell. I think it was a brave decision to bat first. On this pitch, it is a good decision, and I believe it's good to bat first in Sri Lanka, but it had a lot more movement than what I expected it to have. And I get the feeling that they were aware that it was bound to happen, but it was a brave decision because there could be a time when in Ahmedabad they lose the toss, they could be batting first. So it's good to encounter all these sort of situations. And what was great to see was the middle order firing. They took India to a position of strength. Yes, after that we faltered a bit, but we would much rather do these things today than ponder over it after it happens 3 weeks later and think, should we have done something different?
Elders often say that when you're too close
Why
to
look at me when you say elders?
Because you're our elder, sir.
Huh? Just because two of you are young.
So you're the wise head in the family, sir.
Straightforward sledging.
So youngsters often need help from elders, and they often say that when you're too close to an event, you can't see it in the right perspective. A lot of fans might look at this event and say, yeah, 266 not great. However, if they just pull back a little bit and look at it from the World Cup perspective, how many questions have been answered?
Two big positives for India. I go with what DK said at the beginning. Don't get obsessed with the result in this particular game. Yes, it'll be a big boost if you can beat Pakistan. If you can beat them with 266, that's an even bigger boost. But there are two big pluses for India, which is Ishan Kishan has told the selectors, excuse me, I know KL Rahul's in your plan, but I'm there.
I'm a left-hander.
I'm a left-hander and I can bat at 5 if required. I thought he handled that situation very well. 48 for 3 was a tricky situation. But I was even more overjoyed with the form of Hardik Pandya. Increasingly, Hardik Pandya just seems to have the right game for whatever situation you thrust him into. And if his batting form is crucial. Hardik Pandya is a crucial cog for India if you have to go on and do well at the World Cup. So I thought his ability to grasp situations has always been good, but I thought those were the two pluses for India. From 66 for 4, will you take 266 every single day? Start of the innings, will you take 266? I'm not so sure.
I also add one point to what Harsha said. I also think there was a bit of light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to Shreyas Iyer. It wasn't big in numbers, but the way he approached it, the way he batted, the positions that he got into will give a lot of comfort and solace to Vikram Rathore and Rahul Dravid, knowing, you know what, this guy is getting into some good positions. We can expect runs out of him.
Yes, let's talk a little bit more about Hardik Pandya. Harsha spoke about the version of Hardik Pandya he wants to see in this innings. It looked like he's sort of pressed that reset button mentally because he was looking like he was someone who had a lot of mental energy for this kind of challenge.
Also, don't forget, when you're 66 for 4 against that side, and you've got Shardul at 8, Kuldeep at 9, you're thinking, okay, let's hang it, don't lose wickets. But India never went under 5 and over. At very few stages in that partnership were India under 5 and over. And that is what I liked about Hardik. Hardik's got his 87, but he hasn't got them in 115 balls. He's got them in 90 balls. And I thought some of his shot making of Haris Rauf when he came back in the second spell was very positive, and it showed that that he is in very good form. So close to the World Cup, that's a big plus. How did the top order play? That I'm not so sure was a big plus.
26 boundaries and 3 sixes in this Indian innings. That makes it 122. The other runs came in singles. And so it perhaps shows that Hardik Pandya and Ishan Kishan were prepared to grind it out and they were open to the idea of taking singles.
Absolutely, they rotated strike well. I don't think rotation of strike is Ishan's strength, but he managed to do that really well in this innings. I just want to add a little bit about Hardik Pandya. He is not someone who is known to sweep. And why I say sweep is an important shot in subcontinent conditions with the leggies bowling or the left arm spinner bowling. And you have just one man back there, deep square leg. Sweep becomes a very paying shot. And I thought Hardik has worked on that shot in the last 4 months, I know personally. And the way he gets into the positions with his low hands gives him a great opportunity of scoring runs. He got his early boundary of a spinner playing that lap sweep. And from there on in, the way he constructed an inning will give a lot of confidence. You want Hardik Pandya to fire. He is a pivotal part of Team India to do well, and for me that's a massive plus. Ishan Kishan, I think, has answered many questions. There were constant debates. Sanju Ishan, what are we going to do? Now I think he's taken a step further and said it's not Sanju Ishan, is it Ishan or KL Rahul? I think that's the question that's going to be asked very, very soon.
Tell me, he's quite good friends with Hardik Pandya. I know that because when I was doing those Cricbuzzing conversation pieces with Hardik, I called DK and said, tell me a little bit more about Hardik. So now that he says, I know that he's putting in work over the last 4 months on the sweep shot. Who in the IPL plays a sweep shot well?
Kumar Yadav.
Maybe, go on.
And every foreigner who's part of who's a batter.
Go on. So you've been talking about playing the sweep shot?
No.
Can we get a scoop if there is one?
I wish I can say yes to this, but he's really made a conscious effort because that was an area where people used to block him out. They never used to give him the boundaries there. There are areas where you can bowl to Hardik Pandya as a spinner and get away, especially on slightly slower wickets. But this shot he's worked on is really going to help him in his career, not only this World Cup, because it's a very critical part to take on a spinner.
When Harsha Bhogle is not hosting content for Cricbuzz or commentating, he does a lot of these corporate lectures where he talks about lessons from sport.
First he called me an elder. Now he's going somewhere else. Okay.
Where he tends to marry sport and life philosophy. When we were sitting and watching this game, you spoke about there are two ways in which a youngster or anyone can respond to a challenge when Ishan Kishan was batting. What did this innings tell you about Ishan Kishan, the person?
I was curious to know, and I still don't know the answer because we are watching on television. You don't know what's going on in his mind. It's easy to say, yeah, he waded into a situation. We don't know what his mindset was. But if against Pakistan, in a game, you're 48 for 3, this was, believe me, sometimes you don't talk enough about Pakistan. I thought that opening, the new ball burst was fantastic. Very, very high quality bowling. Now you're going in at 48 for 3. Are you seeing it as an opportunity? Or are you saying, I never batted at 5 before, I'm a top order guy, okay, chalo, let me see what I can do at 48 for 3. That is why I liked what Ishan Kishan did, in that he didn't try to play like it was like he plays for Mumbai Indians in the IPL.
Yep.
He didn't play like he goes up, opens inning through his bat. He built an innings. And in doing so, he said, look, I can do this as well. I think that was the big plus for India, that at 48 for 3, he seized the moment. Whether he seized it enough to produce the right result for India is part B. But he was willing to wade in and seize the situation,
4 consecutive half centuries, he's done his chances, all the good that he can. There's not more that he can do.
I cannot say that I have done what Ishan Kishan has done because I genuinely feel he's doing it better. But I have been through a little bit of what he's been through. Let's look at Ishan Kishan as a case study. He opens an inning, gets a 200. The next series is not part of the 11. KL Rahul is back. Then when he's given an opportunity, it is in the middle of the order. Then the IPL comes through, has a decent IPL, goes to West Indies, gets an opportunity to open, gets 350s. There is still talks of play. There's still talks happening. Should he be part of the World Cup squad? Now, as a player, as a batter, when you're shuffled so much across the order, it is very tough because you don't know where you're going to bat. You've got to bat differently in different situations. And it's not easy to adapt. Playing, in the power play and starting outside the power play are two very different things. Now, Ishan Kishan has found a way, or at least showing a way where he's able to adapt and do that. And that is great because I think in his career, he has the potential to play even if a Rishabh Pant is fully fit. And that is what he's showing us today. And that is great signs and ominous signs, not only for him, but for Indian cricket. You see Tilak Verma coming in and doing his bit. You see a quality of Kumar Yadav sitting out. So there is plenty of resources to choose from. But this is the fire that he has. Here is a kid who is on a massive paycheck in IPL, but working very, very hard to show his credentials as a batter in different positions, different conditions. West Indies is very different. Today it was seaming. West Indies was slow. In India, on flatter wickets, he got runs. Bangladesh, he gets a 200. So here is a man showing you, I'm ready for all seasons. Just give me the opportunity because I really want to do well for India after a massive paycheck. And why I keep saying that is, there's always questions. People are playing IPL. Players are playing IPL. They're getting paid so much. Will they have the interest? Will they have the, sort of
hunger,
fire in the belly that the earlier players used to have? Here's the cricketer who's showing all of that. And I think we should credit that more than the skill set which he's showing, which is phenomenal as well.
Is there a lesson for cricket fans as well on how not to judge a young kid or youngster? Do we tend to judge players too soon?
Or not to judge them too quickly, because 1 day or 2 days or 4 innings in the life of a player is not a huge amount. But sometimes, because of the need to draw conclusions on a day-to-day basis, we tend to draw conclusions after 2 innings, 3 innings. Shubman Gill is out of form. I would love to be Shubman Gill out of form the way he played. He's played the first half of this year.
Yep.
So sometimes you jump to conclusions too quickly. I think we need a bit of patience. I agree with what DK said, but I did catch on the fact that DK, who's still in many ways a compatriot of Ishan Kishan, playing together, did call him a kid.
Well, in the studio, you're the elder. Harsha. When it comes to cricket field, I think I'll
You're
be
the elder.
But what's worse, Harsha, is that now Elon Musk has started paying people for more engagement on Twitter. So people will tend to tweet more.
But in the history of showbiz, scandal has always worked. So whatever you say, if you want to attract attention, you get a bit spicy. So it's just that over a long career, you shouldn't have people saying, this is what he said on day 1, this is what she said on day 4, this is what she said on day 7, this is what she said on day 10. Oh, hang on, is it the same person?
The word spicy is a great segue for our next bit on this program.
What are you doing
The
spicy?
reason this opportunity presented itself to Ishan Kishan and Hardik Pandya is that, well, India were 48 for 3, and a lot of credit for that to Shaheen Shah Afridi, who was doing what Shaheen Shah Afridi often does with that wide ball.
He's a fantastic bowler. He's a fantastic bowler. I know DK has a soft spot for Naseem Shah as well, who I think is a damn good bowler. But I just thought Afridi, when I saw him against Nepal, I didn't know what it was. I'm not a technical judge. I didn't know what it was. I suspected, I said maybe something is not right. It didn't seem in rhythm, whatever. He was drifting down the leg side, did a little bit today, but he's coming back into form. Just as we talk about Hardik Pandya getting back into form and rhythms being so good for India, Shaheen Afridi getting back into that kind of rhythm is fantastic for Pakistan. How many people in their opening spell take wickets like he does, man? He's just unbelievable. And that's why I said right at the start, I'd love to see how Pakistan respond to a game against India, where in the first 10 overs, their new ball has not produced a wicket. But I thought the whole, I mean, watching with DK, the whole first 10, 15 overs, the quality of fast bowling was fantastic.
It'll be silly of us as cricket lovers to just look at the two deliveries that caught the dismissals of Rohit and Kohli. What about the setup?
Outstanding. Yes, the new ball is his strength, and he is actually at times unplayable because he could tell you what he is bowling and still you'll end up getting out. That's how good he is. But for me, when he came back in the second spell, the ball he bowled to Hardik Pandya, now that is a clever bowler. That is someone who has control over his length. He wasn't bowling left arm over, he went left arm round, changed the angle up. So he's very sure, and that at the start of his spell tells me he's very sure what he wants to do, and he gets another big wicket, Ravindra Jadeja, soon after in the next over. So here is a man who we all know is phenomenal with the new ball, showed us yet again why he is so good, gets the ball moving both ways. If there's a little in the pitch, will make you dance to his tunes. And then add to the fact that when he comes back with the old ball, he's added that off-spin arsenal as a left armer. And it is very deceptive in pace. If you see the dismissal, you'll see that Hardik Pandya completely didn't know what was being thrown at him until almost hit his bat. Tells you that here is a man at the top of his trade. And that's not a good sign for India when they play again. But for world cricket, he is a handful to deal with. Arguably the best bowler who made best use of the conditions today. I thought Naseem Shah looked the best today with the amount of swing and pace he got. But Shaheen Shah Afridi showed why he is a threat because he used the conditions well. There's a difference there.
There's something that's more evident or more visible in the action replay, which is what he does with his wrists. Tell us a bit about that.
When a bowler is able to use his wrist, and that is the most important part of releasing a ball, and that comes right at the end of you finishing an action. If you're able to get your wrist behind the ball, that's the technical way of saying it, you will get what is called late swing on the ball. So pretty much it won't swing. If as an example, if I had to give you, if you take Matthew Hogarth, when he releases the ball, you know from the moment he releases his hand, it will be an outswing. Yeah. Whereas with a Shaheen Shah Afridi, what makes him so hard is because he has a great wrist position and the ball, literally the way he leaves, he has a snap at the end of it. Somebody sitting one floor down, Zaheer Khan was phenomenal at that as well, is what makes these bowlers so good because the ball will come straight at you and swing just around good length when you're already committed to playing a shot. And add to the fact that he bowls over 90 clicks a lot of the times, it becomes very hard because you've already committed to a player shot and then the ball moves and you sometimes have no way to go. A great example was the first wicket he got of KL Rahul in the 2021 World Cup. And that is, if KL Rahul has to play that 10 times out of 10, I can promise you he'll get out every time because it's literally unplayable.
You know, growing up in the 90s, I've got to be honest, we grew up with this emotion of envy saying, Pakistan has Wasim Akram, Waqar Yunus, and with India we had Javagal Srinath, who's very hardworking. I suppose that emotion of envy is back now with these three in that Pakistan team.
Yes, but I think while India may not have the same storied fast bowlers, but I think Shami, Siraj and Bumrah are a handful. I like Bumrah's batting, by the way, today. You judge players by how they want to develop their second skill too. I think Bumrah's told Kuldeep, you're okay, but I want to bat ahead of you. And I thought capable, and Shami comes in, maybe 8, 9, 10, whatever. But if all three are on song in helpful conditions, then I think they could be a handful too. Yeah, I mean these three are fantastic. They've got Wasim, they've got a range of bowlers. But
Harsha,
I think if India's three are bowling well, they're a handful too.
That's a great segue into our hashtag Ask Cricbuzz live question. Sorry, DK, I'll come to you for that. But there's someone who's asked a question that Harsha may have sort of partly alluded to. Let's take a look at what that question is. It's from Sauradeep Roy. I hope I got that pronunciation right. Sauradeep Roy. Bumrah, Shami, Siraj, or Shaheen, Rauf, Naseem. India or Pakistan? Who has the more fearsome pace attack in your opinion?
Shaheen, Harris, Rauf and Naseem. A, they bowl 90 plus consistently. B, all three are very different in nature. Shaheen Shah, obviously, the left arm adds an angle to it and brings the ball back in. Naseem Shah swings the ball both ways. Harris Rauf is arguably one of the best bowlers right now at the back end of an inning because of his skid and the nasty bouncer that he's got. So for me, they are a far more potent attack on flat wickets. If there is something in the pitch, then both attacks at all times become very equal. But if I had to play an attack, I have a feeling I have a better chance of probably playing Jasprit Bumrah, Siraj and Shami, only because the bounce they'll get will be slightly lesser than what these three other bowlers can do from Pakistan.
What if I replace the word fearsome with wholesome or varied?
Are you trying to get us to say India also?
No.
We're just playing with words?
Just asking, sir.
No, just playing with words. But I mean, across all conditions, on flat decks, those three are probably more potent. But I'd like to see if there's a little bit of nip in the track today. When there's a little bit of nip and the ball is doing things, there are very few better bowlers than Mohammad Shami around in the world. Today I want to see Bumrah now because I want to get an idea of how good he is and how strong he's come back. Siraj is magnificent against left-handers, so I'd like to hold my comment a little bit as well in all conditions, those three. But in helpful conditions, let's see what happens.
The World Cup is meant to be the toughest examination for any team. And before a tough exam, you look at your weak areas, even as students. And so let's take a look at what the Indian right-hand batters do or manage against left-arm pacers. Is this graphic telling you a story? If yes, what is it? Versus left-arm pacers, look at the numbers, and then versus right-arm pacers. Harsha, make sense of that for us, please.
The numbers always tell a story. Over the years, the fast left-hander swinging the ball back in, whether it was Mohammad Amir, whether it's Shaheen Afridi, to some extent, Reece Topley was a different bowler. I don't think Reece Topley fits into this category of bowlers, but Trent Bolt,
Mitchell Stark,
Mid-Stark have troubled India. I don't know if it could be because India don't quite have the same caliber of left-arm bowlers to play against. Maybe I'm excited about Arshdeep, but he's got some distance to go. Khalil comes and goes. We don't have the same extent of left-arm bowlers bowling. But yes, definitely it's a problem.
Is it because in world cricket there are not enough left-arm pacers?
I think it's a lot like how right-arm fast bowlers struggle a lot more to left-handers because they're far lesser in number. And I think when it comes to right-handers facing left-arm medium pacers, you actually in your career you'll probably end up playing only 10% if you just take the whole number as left-arm medium pacers. So you obviously acquire skills to play the right-armers way better because you play them a lot more. And that is a great example with the numbers that is displayed that yes, there is an issue, but if you put the numbers against most teams, it will stack up like this because the fact is that you tend to play left-armers a lot lesser.
It's a peculiar phenomenon. India had Kapil Dev and Karsan Ghavri. Karsan Ghavri was a left-arm quick, Kapil Dev was right-arm quick. Now look what happened after that. You had Manoj Pravakar, Chetan Sharma, Roger Binny, then Javagal Srinath came in, Venkatesh Prasad came in. For a long time, India had no left-handers at all. And then see the crop that came. Zahir Khan, Irfan Pathan, RP Singh, Ashish Nehra. Suddenly, everybody looked at the left-hander. And it seems as if suddenly the season has changed. The season has changed and no one's planting left-handers anymore. And they're all right-handers. Who's your next in line? You're looking at Mukesh Kumar, you're looking at Prasidh Krishna, Deepak Chahar, he's not here just now. Everybody right-handers.
Wow. New things we learn every day on Cricbuzz. What about the Pakistan perspective now? Fans might be, their fans or their supporters might be thinking India were 48 for 3. How did the pressure release? Was it because the spinners came into play? Let's take a look at this comparison between pacers and spinners. Shadab Khan, Mohammad Nawaz, those two, look at how expensive they were. Has a weakness been exposed?
Oh, for sure. I think we were discussing about this off air as well. I think Pakistan's attack is heavily reliant upon three fast bowlers. Shadab Khan is a very potent bowler, but the number of times he's gone wicketless in the last 12 months is scary from a Pakistan point of view. And again, you can see there is an attack which is very solid in nature with the fast bowlers. They give you the breakthroughs at the start and they give you the breakthroughs in the middle and for sure at the end as well. If the Pakistani spinners add to that, then they become a venomous team for sure. But the fact is that with Mohammad Nawaz as your fifth bowler, you're not looking at him as a wicket-taking option. Straight away, it's a defensive option. And God forbid, if Shadab Khan doesn't pick you wickets, then you're again looking at just the fast bowlers. So it is a bit of a worry for Pakistan, especially if they're defending a total. And in India, in October, November, you tend to see a bit of dew. This was what is going to work badly against them if their spinners don't find a way. Because in IPL, we have seen the most successful spinners are the wrist spinners, and Shadab Khan has a role to play.
I also wonder if Pakistan threw in the spinners a little too quickly. You had 3-4 wickets and you've got 30 overs of pace. I just wonder if they could have got more overs out of one of the fast bowlers, attacked a little bit more early. I think they held the fast bowlers back at that point and allowed the partnership between Ishan, Kishan and Hardik Pandya. After that weather, that early storm was built around taking runs off the spinners.
And also it becomes a case in point for Pakistan when, just like India, they'll start looking at Mohammad Nawaz's batting capabilities and say, you know what, can we play a Fahim Ashraf, who's a fast bowling all-rounder? He bats left-handed, can give you a few runs, which he has, but for sure will give you some gun overs through the middle. He has a very awkward action, comes in and goes out as well. And I just wanted to ask you in the same vein as well, is Shardul Thakur giving enough, or is it just a notional value that he makes you feel like he'll give you with the bat?
He has to give you with the bat because there's the man with the golden arm and the man with the golden bat that's worked so far. So one innings, he didn't score runs today. But if Shardul Thakur is your number 8, you definitely want 8-9 overs every single game and you want a 15-20 run contribution at least over there.
Shreyas Iyer got out in the 10th over, and if he saw what Hardik Pandya and Ishan Kishan managed, he would have been kicking himself. Missed out because he looked pretty good.
Look, I think I'll get a lot of stick on social media for saying this, but I really enjoyed watching Shreyas Iyer bat. It's just the approach and the attitude. Before that, you had a Shubman who was in form, but obviously found it a struggle today. Rohit Sharma was pretty free-flowing. Virat Kohli lasted very little. But Shreyas Iyer, in the little time that he lasted, I thought, got into great positions, as I repeat myself. And that for me is a very important aspect of batting. Because when you get into good positions and you're able to strike the ball consistently well, it gives you the best chance of being consistent. And we all know the caliber and quality he has. And for me, he looks like a man who has very little baggage. And I like that about him because if you want to go deep in the World Cup, and if you remember the 2011 World Cup or the 2007 T20 World Cup, the World Cups that we have done well, or the Champions Trophies, the middle order has to fire. It might not be big in number, as I said, but he looks like a guy who will get runs for India.
Eight balls, yeah. No, I'm just checking with DK because sometimes a player sees something than another player. DK had 8 balls to see Shreyas Iyer. That was enough for you in 8 balls to get an idea?
Yes, and I say that only because his biggest Achilles heel is obviously new ball, 2 in a bit, or a bowler who has enough skill to hurry you up with the bouncer. These bowlers didn't bowl a bouncer, but as a batter, he was getting into positions where he was not looking for the bouncer. He was looking for the full ball. And for me, that is a big technical tick mark. That is a yes every day of the week from a Shreyas Iyer point of view, and that I enjoyed. And the shot he played also was a good shot. You can call it unlucky, but it was definitely not a bad shot.
Also, a few gifts from the Pakistan fielding as well. Now, that made matters much easier for India. I think they gave away 4 or 5 boundaries.
We keep calling Harsha old in the studio. At least we make him feel like that. Pakistan felt really tired and depleted in the field
I know you're trying to make me feel good by the overall tone of what you were saying.
You could have fielded for Pakistan, done a better job today.
Mr. Bhogle is a young man who's very soon going to finish 40 years in cricket broadcasting.
Kalyan.
What
Sir,
does that
सब लोग
tell
ताली
you?
मार रहे हैं, sir.
What does that tell you? Young men don't do 40 years.
Sir, but socho 40 years in cricket broadcasting. So you are our elder, sir. No?
You watched many a Pakistan side, Harsha. Is this fielding something that...
But look, let's just say that over the years, bowling has been Pakistan's most obvious strength. They've produced some great batters. I don't think over the years they've been as excited about their fielding. There have been some good fielders over the years. I mean, even if you look at the era of Salim Malik, Ejaz Ahmed, they had one brilliant fielder called Imran Nazir. But really, the great fielders are not that many. In this team, Shadab Khan stands out.
Yep.
But you saw Naseem Shah misfielded, Shaheen Afridi misfielded. There are a couple of others on the boundary. They look at that fielding at key moments in a key World Cup game that could let them down. So the fielding is khair aaj na nahi yaar छोड़ो बैटिंग बॉलिंग करेंगे.
चलिए अब बैटिंग की बातें करते हैं थोड़ी सी. Well, they have an enviable top three. However, we must talk about Iftikhar Ahmed, who came in and did what he is known to do. Iftikhar Ahmed, very surprising that it was his first ODI 100. I suppose it's because the top three often do the job and he doesn't get enough deliveries to do so.
It's a bit like India. I think top three get a bulk of the runs, but Iftikhar Ahmed averages close to 45 in first class cricket, has got quite a few hundreds in domestic cricket, batting at number 4. But I think at number 6 is where they're seeing him, and for him to deliver the way he did, I remember Harsha put out a tweet saying how in the first 50 he took his time, but the second 50 where he raced across against Nepal, a much lesser quality in terms of bowling, but he did what he was picked to do, which was to produce runs through the middle. Just like India, I think they're top heavy at times, and if the middle order fires, they're quite a good team, and Salman Agha and Iftikhar Ahmed are showing signs that they can back up a Babar Azam and Rizwan in the middle. So this is ominous signs for Pakistan. They are definitely a force to contend with.
If Pakistan can get rid of the Indian top three, there's no reason why Bumrah can't.
Well, one doesn't always lead to the other. Because one did doesn't mean the other will. It means the other can.
Yep.
If Bumrah gets into the top order, don't forget Siraj has been bowling really well. I hope he's refreshed. He's had a break. He played a lot of cricket, and both openers are left-handed. And Siraj bowls particularly well to left-handers. So if that new ball starts to do well, if that new ball gives you wickets, I'd like to see Pakistan. 266 is not a total that scares you, but I'd like to see if they're 20 for 2, then suddenly the 266 is looking very, very far away.
There's one man who could answer a few more questions for the Indian selectors, Kuldeep Yadav. How should Rohit Sharma use Kuldeep Yadav? Typically in the IPL, we see, I wouldn't use the word safer overs, but they don't bowl him in the power play. What's the best way to use Kuldeep Yadav in this innings? Defending only 266.
Post power play, use him as a wicket-taking option, which is what Rohit has done with him. And it's not about Rohit using him. I think he's developed the skill where he's worked on his technical skill and improved that aspect of his bowling where he's getting more revs on the ball, he's troubling the batsman. He's always been one who can deceive with the googly, but he's gotten consistent with length and he's increased his pace as well because of the speed of his run-up. Overall, he looks the most assured spinner that India can bank on through the middle. What India will need to do for Kuldeep Yadav is the pacers probably pick up a couple and keep the runs to a minimum, because when they look to go after him, that's when he becomes the most venomous threat. And I feel Kuldeep is a key aspect of India moving forward in this World Cup because he is a wicket taker.
You had a theory on something that's changed with his run-up, which you were sharing with us when you were watching the first innings.
He, up until 2021, he had a very angular run-up leading into the crease. Now he's straightened his run-up and hence he's starting to go much quicker towards the delivery stride, and when he gets through with his action, he is finishing his action in technical terms. Hence, he gets more speed on the ball, more revs on the ball, and the fact that he's become slightly more accurate is all added to his arsenal, and he's become the bowler that he is. Definitely India's best spinner in the last 12 months in ODI cricket, and that's why he's got the nod ahead of Chahal. We all feel bad for Chahal, I personally, because I rate him very highly, but Kuldeep Yadav has done tremendously well in the last 12 months, and he's guaranteed himself as the #1 spinner in this Indian team. And for me, if India need to do well in the World Cup, he is a very, very key man.
Much like Ishan, is Kuldeep Yadav also in the position to print his own World Cup ticket?
I'd be very surprised if he hasn't been given his boarding pass already. Be very surprised. Because I think, as DK said, he is today India's #1 spinner. I think he has a responsibility of bowling those 10 overs in the middle overs. So he's there.
Well, we've discussed the first innings threadbare. We've looked at the second innings as well. The only thing that's left is predictions from our experts on what they expect the score to be at the 10 over mark. DK.
10 over mark. 48 for 2.
45 for 1.
51 for 3.
लो
अच्छा
फिर तो मैच खत्म हो गई.
बढ़ा देते थोड़ा सा सर इफ्तिखार अहमद है
51 for 3 के बाद से if you've got them 51 for 3 in 10 overs with 260 you should win from there.
51 for 3, Jasprit Bumrah back to his best. We'll find out. Make sure you join us at the 15 over mark on Cricbuzz Combox. Should be a fun second innings. Enjoy it. Make sure you join us then. Bye for now.